Hello everyone, and welcome to Boxing Bants. I haven't said that in a long time. 2 years since I've said that. Welcome to Boxing Bants. But this is something that me and Declan thought we'd do because it's been 2 years since we actually started this channel in general. So I can't believe actually it's 2 years now, thinking about it, like that we started it. But first of all, I just want to say that thanks to all the boxers over the last 2 years that have been basically letting us interview you. I'd like to thank MTK, Boxing Ireland, all these people that have given us accreditation when they didn't have to, and obviously Jay Byrne, who let us record initially the podcast here in Supreme Altitude. So so we just thought we kind of get together again and kind of do this again because people were wondering why we stopped doing it, but I think it was more logistic than anything, really, wasn't it?
You were too busy travelling, interviewing fighters.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and then I suppose it just made more sense, didn't it? But first of all, how are you anyway?
Declan? All good, Ciaran. Same old.
Same old.
Trying away like majority of the boxers at the moment. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Kicking the balls with this COVID, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? I think we just have to deal with it, accept it, and try to live with it. I think the world as a population is just gonna have to live with it at the moment until there's a cure for it.
Mm-hmm. In terms of boxing, like obviously in the country, like it's like boxing in Ireland was already not in a great place. So I suppose it's an extra that blow, because I think you were saying that there was potential for a show behind closed doors up north, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was potential. There was talks about shows, but it didn't appear. I don't think there'll be any shows anytime soon for MTK up north. I know Stephen and Leonard Gunnan have they're talking about having a show in November. November. I'd like to see that go forward. Hopefully it goes forward. I don't know how it'll work without crowds for them. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I was actually speaking to Leonard and he said that he's waiting for the British Boxing Board of Control to kind of allow some form of crowds coming in, or else it won't happen, like, you know. But he's already on BoxRec. They've already registered the boxers they're going to have on the card, including Caitlin Phelan, who has her fight obviously abroad. But yeah, that's what he said to me anyway at the moment.
It would be nice to go forward. It would be nice to see shows back in Ireland, and I don't think you're going to get the same capacity of crowds be allowed in, but even if it's down to 500 people, maybe you could do 3 fights. 3 fights in the shows, so you can see what it work financially.
We've been lucky enough though, like now with MTK, the backing behind them, and then obviously Sky Sports, we've been able to see some shows. Yeah. And MTK have had a few shows on, so there's been Irish boxers on. There's been Jono. Jono was the first one. What did you think of that fight?
I think it was very flat. I think he probably overlooked him. He didn't make any excuses why he lost, and anyway, after his interview, he made no excuses at all. But I just thought he was flat. I think Hughes, was it Maxi Hughes? Yeah. Maxi Hughes. He's a good fighter. Like he's nothing special in any certain way, but he's good all rounded. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say he's an excellent boxer or an excellent fighter or a volume puncher or anything like that. He just did everything enough. He caught him with the cleaner shots. I actually thought he hurt Jono once or twice with the left hand. I know Jono wasn't at his weight class. I think it was at lightweight. Yeah. But it wasn't a lightweight limit either. You know.
No, it was. It was quite big, you know. Yeah.
So I think Jono still has a lot of. It's like snakes and ladders. He still has a lot of credit after his Quigg win, which I think Quigg was way past it. But Jono's had to be doing pretty well, and he kind of sells himself well, the way he speaks and the way he calls out fighters. But I think it's a blimp on the record for him. I think a lot of questions will be asked about him, but I don't think he'll have the rematch with him. And I think John will just go back down to super featherweight and keep competing. I reckon him and Diaz was meant to fight if he won. There's rumours around that.
Jojo Diaz.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a little bit of a stop to that now. I don't think he can jump straight away into it now either after picking up that loss. So maybe he will have to another one or two wins for him to come back to fight Diaz. And I think he'll get another world title shot.
For the IBF, basically.
For the IBF, yeah. The one that we fought Farmer for. Farmer lost the DS.
Yeah.
But so what can you
Yeah,
do?
I suppose like when I looked at Matthew Hughes' last losses, like there were people that were much bigger than him. He kind of overwhelmed him, like Sam Bone and all that, real heavy-handed. But Jono almost seemed kind of perfect for him. Yeah. Like size-wise, everything. Like.
Yeah, he just didn't throw the volume punches, and when he did throw volume punches, he was missing. And Hughes did what he had to do. I think like Hughes, he's underrated. Like he's after losing a few good lads he did. Like the people he lost, what I think he has 5 losses. They were good, like 5 good lads.
Yeah, they've all gone on to
do good things. Like so.
And that's what he said at the end. He says, "Am I always going to be an early man?"
Yeah,
you know?
I think he's at the sign with MTK as well. So I like to see what happens on. If he, I put my name in the hat and said I'd fight him, but I don't think I'd do it at lightweight. I could do it at 138, not 135. I'm not gonna go 135 at all. I don't think I plan on competing at 140. So I said I could do a 138. I didn't really get much feedback off it. I like to see him push on and see how he goes. Like there's a few good lads at lightweight, you know what I mean? Like he was meant to fight Gary Cully. I think Gary Cully beats him. Like it just does make fights. I think Gary Cully would be an awful time for him. Even though he beat John, you know, man.
Yeah. And that's kind of like we were saying, like John was kind of perfect for him.
Yeah.
There was another show then after that.
But Pierce O'Leary was on that show as well, the same show.
On the same show, yeah.
Boxed very well. I was very impressed with Pierce. None that he fought an unbeaten fella. He did. Pierce is looking pretty well. The only thing I'd criticise Pierce is every shot I believe he knows about as well. Every shot he's looking to try to take someone's head off. That's the only problem with him. You'll understand it hits 8, 10, 12 rounds. You have to pick your shots, but he looked very good, Pierce did. He looks like I'm very surprised he turned pro so early because there was so much hype about him as an amateur, and he could have done big things, and he turned over young. I think he turned over at 18. Where I'm not even sure he competed in the elites, the elites at the time. So he turned over before them, I think. So I would have liked to see how he failed out in the top end of the amateurs at the age, the over 18s group. He's at the turn pro. He looks great. He's at the moving over to England with CJ's coach. I can't think of his name. I'm forgetting Al. He looks really good. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for him. The fella he fought was 4-0. He wasn't great. He looked negative. He didn't look like he wanted to be in there, and Pierce looked like he hurt him a few times. I think he looked very good. I just hope he keeps progressing and gets the right fight for him. You know what I mean? There's no rush for the young. He's only young. He has a whole career in front of him. You know what I mean? That was the first show. They were the only 2 Irish lads on, I think.
Yeah, and around that same time, Frank Warren had a show with BT. And CJ, you're talking about there, his stable partner, Kevin Deco. Yeah. He fought. Did you watch his fight?
Very good, yeah. CJ looked very well.
Now, there was a massive weight difference between the two of them, obviously. His opponent was coming up from welterweight. Yeah. But still even at that, like...
And it was a late notice. I heard he got a week's notice for the fight. But I know that they offered a few pounds. I even know an Irish fella they offered as well, turned it down. It was actually good money they were offering, but the fella wasn't in camp or training. But they offered a good few people for the fight, and a lot of people turned it down. And that's credit to CJ. Like people are not taking him lightly, you know what I mean? People are looking at him saying like the risk has to be worth the reward, and he doesn't offer nothing to the table. But Frank has a few quid, so that's the only thing. Like there's no belt behind him as of yet. I think CJ looked very well, and he can do. He looks really, really strong. He looks tough. He looks great. He can box. You know what I mean? He looks the real deal. You know what I mean?
And no crowd noise. You could really hear what he was putting behind his punches. Like, you know what I mean? And credit to his opponent who stayed in there for that long. Like he could have quit at any moment. Yeah. Like he just stayed. But
he was tough. Very tough.
Yeah. But I think
Mitchell Smith's little brother was.
Who? Sorry.
Mitchell Smith's little brother. Was, yeah.
But like fair play to them, but I hope now that Kevin will start getting even more back in now, you know, getting pushed a bit more, because he is actually very good to watch. I enjoy watching. I've seen him spar. Like I went up to Glean's ABC and watched him spar, and the two McKenna brothers. I think it was one of them. I think it was Stephen. No, Aaron. Sorry. And he was very, very good. But he's kind of like in Lewis Crocker's situation at the moment. He's just Lewis has the belt now. Yeah. but he's kind of like his next fight now would be kind of for
Yeah.
Lewis, but he needs that kind of back and like
Yeah.
MTK giving Lewis, you know, because Lewis is kind of was part of the who needs him kind of the club, like, you know. Did you watch Lewis's fight?
Do you know what? I've heard a lot of hype about Lewis. I've actually never watched him at all. I think because he'd be a bit younger than me, I'm nowhere near my weight, so I never paid attention. The first time I watched him was 2 weekends ago, last weekend, like 2 weekends ago, and I was very impressed by him. I've always heard he banged, but I was impressed the way he could box. Now he wasn't throwing a lot of shots, he wasn't wasting a lot of shots, but the way he could hold off, like, I was actually very impressed of his the right shot to the body and the left hook. I throw a left hand right hook, and he just some volume and some power whipped into it. I thought Green, who he fought, was a very good boxer. He was tough. Green was very tough. He was, and it looked pretty even for a while. And Crocker's power made a difference. I thought both of them boxed well. Both of them were cagey. Both of them were tight. They weren't given the opportunity to be caught with any silly punches. And then I think Lewis just, as the rounds went on, his power started playing the difference and just opened up wider. I thought Green did very well to stay in it for as long as he got caught with some shots. I was very impressed. I know Jamie Conlon has spoken very highly of Lewis Crocker, and I can see why. It was the first time I seen him, and I was very impressed myself. I was really impressed the way he could. He has the boxing IQ, but he could also has that power as well, and that makes a big difference in this in the professional sport.
At the times I saw him there, he was fighting in 6 rounders and whatnot, and he was either stopping people or he was winning them comfortably every round. But he was one pressuring, and the people from his gym always told me, he says, I'm telling you, he's actually better on the back foot, he's actually better boxing. And that was the first time I'd kind of really seen it, you know, and he obviously did very well. Like, another person that was on that show was James McGivern, is that right?
Yeah, I didn't actually see him. I've heard of a lot of hype about him. I think he was first fight on. I heard he's meant to be a slick southpaw. I'm actually going to try to go up and might get sparred and try to go up and get in touch with him to get him sparred, and I heard he's very good. I know Michael Conlon expecting him to go to the Olympics and do a medal there, you know what I mean? There was that much hype about him. I haven't seen much of him, but what I've heard around gyms and all, he's meant to be a very good boxer.
And Fergus Quinn as well. Not that well known on these waters, because obviously he lived in Canada and whatnot, but he's as Irish as they come if you hear him. But he says he's very like Golovkin, that's what he says. But he was actually quite entertaining to watch. A lot of he basically went toe to toe with in a 4-rounder against someone who's had an okay record. I think the fella he was fighting only had 1 or 2 losses, and took the fight quite late notice, but it was quite competitive.
Yeah, I know he matched him hard.
Yeah.
He said, I remember watching the interview of Jamie, said he matched him very hard for the first fight, because he said he was worried if it was a step or a leap that had to take him, but paid off. They're starting their careers, and do you know what, they have to have so much of an amateur background. Sometimes it's good to actually get into fights where people are coming to win or having a go at you instead of these negative journeymen, because it can make you look bad. And I heard he looked very well and looked very impressive on his win.
Did you watch the fight last night, Padre McCrory?
I did. What was in it?
Sorry?
What was in it?
What was in it?
Yeah, it didn't last very long.
Yeah, well, one round knocked him out.
Yeah.
But I noticed the difference, because obviously I watched him against Lewis van Posch, but the first time when I saw him live, I saw him against Sean McGlincy, and then I saw him against Steve.
I've seen him against Steve Collins. Now, I personally thought he was losing against Steve Collins, but he had that punch to pull out of the back.
Yeah. But I thought he's changed quite a little bit the way he's fought.
I think this is his first fight with D, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah.
And
he seems to sit into his punches a lot more. And before, when he was fighting Stephen, he was kind of flicking his jab. Yeah. And it was never, anytime he was throwing punches, it wasn't really halting Steve from pressing. Yeah. And, you know, Stephen kept going, shaking his head every time he was getting hit. But this one, you could see in his feet, he was really sitting in and turning his hips into his shots, even his jabs and stuff like that, and he was really like stamping his authority. And even the way he knocked him out was so clean. When he had Stephen up against the ropes, it still wasn't the same as the way he did it last night. You know,
he's changed. I think he's changed and adapted. And D Walsh is I know D Walsh personally as a friend of boxing a lot of away tournaments with him. D Walsh is a good. Even as a boxer, he had a good boxing IQ, and he's starting to bring into the boys. You know what I mean? He's a good stable. He has good stable of fighters. He has now, and 2 good wins he's had to get in the last 2 weeks between Porrick and Lewis. You know what I mean? So they're really flying up there in Belfast.
Yeah. And obviously in your stable, Gary. How have you been speaking to him since? Or
I just texted him after the fight. I thought Gary boxed very well. I thought he made him look very novice. The fella fought very novice and very frustrated. I think the only scared about was that he got caught with that right hand, and it didn't look like the biggest right hand he went down, and people might start thinking he could be a bit chinny. I've sparred Gary. I've seen Gary spar. Gary's not really chinny. It was just, don't ask me what can happen. It can happen with them little gloves on. Gary can take a punch. I thought he won every round. I even thought he could have won the round he lost, but he didn't. I would have given it just that round, a 10-8 round, and all the rest to Gary. So I don't know how he scored two points in the end. I think Gary boxed very well. I know the fella only had a 10-5 record. The Umplet didn't look. At spells, really small spells, he had a go at Gary. But besides that, Gary just had him frustrated, and he was talking in there. He was getting annoyed with himself. He's spinning around the ring. He just looked very negative, and Gary made easy work of it. You know what I mean? I know if Gary moved to 140 for that fight, he's then actually 135. He'd be coming back down to 135. So Gary took the risk. I don't think it was a big risk because of, after seeing the fella, Gary made it pretty easy. And looking at his record, it wasn't like he had a special record or anything like that. But he moved up and weight and took that bit of risk just to get the fight. I think he's going to come back down, and I'd like to see Gary in a few domestic fights. Like you have Paul Hoyland. I'd like to see a fight with him and Paul Hoyland, or I think there's like the likes of him and Paul Hoyland would be a good fight. Him and Sean McKeown. Sean's coming down to 135. Him and Sean could be a good fight if he stays down on 135. I'd like to see them fight for something meaningful. You know what I mean? Not just for the sake of.
It'd be down the road, that one though. Him and Sean McKeown, because I remember speaking to Gary, and he kind of said, "Well, this is like at the failure last year," and he kind of said we're constantly being compared to each other.
I actually think they're 2 totally different styles. Yeah. Totally different styles. They're tall southpaws, but besides that, they're totally different.
But, you know, and then Gary, then I interviewed Gary then in an MTK show in the Ulster Hall, and he kind of said, look, we're on different paths because we're on different weight classes, but now it seems more and more likely that they'll be built towards, because Sean will probably do better that way now. Yeah. But Gary is someone, even though he's really tall for lightweight, he still kind of has to, he's even said himself, he still has to kind of grow into the weight a little bit more and get his
He's young, Gary's young. It happened to me as well at stages where the body starts, as you older, the body starts filling out and gets a bit harder to make the weight. So Gary still has a bit of time, you know what I mean? He's really thin and really tall, but Gary has a bit of a thump, you know what I mean, as well. So I think he fill out. Sean boxed on the show, on one of the MTK shows as well. I think Sean boxed very well. He made good work of it. I know as an old sparring partner, which it can be a bit tricky to fight, you know what I mean? Someone who knows how you box and you know how he boxes, so you can be a bit cautious. But I thought Sean boxed very well. I think he's more known because of the entrance he made for the fight, but I thought his boxing ability was very good. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for Sean. Yeah,
definitely. He seems to have a lot of hype kind of behind him, and not just because, not out of favouritism or anything like that, but he's very good at building himself in terms of his character and stuff like that. People seem to like that.
I know Sean pretty well, and Sean's just he only likes going out for the point with the boys. He has a lot of friends, you know what I mean? It's a bit like hooligans, you know what I mean? They all like going out having a drink and having a bit of crack, and they're all out there, you know what I mean?
Walking with all the crowd to his fight.
So like Sean's a well-liked person, and you can see why. He's a funny bloke in general. He loves the boxing, but there's more to him than just boxing, you know what I mean? And I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for the two of them.
And Gary seems to, people don't understand, like that round when he got knocked down, it was only really his dedication kind of to the sport and his mentality was kind of took him through, because you could see that he trained so much for the fight, because he recovered so quickly, and then he ended up winning the rest of the round. You know? Back to Sean's that popular that his Instagram's being hacked, and I think he has 10 plus followers, and his Instagram's being hacked, and someone's using his Instagram and not taking the piss out, but using it as it's him. Yeah.
And so he had to set up a new one, so which I think is pretty funny that someone's actually legitimately letting on to be him. For the Geraghty situation, Geraghty's fitness. Geraghty's extremely fit young. He trains hard every time. I see it firsthand. Geraghty is a Trojan for training, you know what I mean, and that's what got him through. I actually thought that the knockdown could have been a lot worse if the rope wasn't behind. It looks like he hit his head off the rope. If he hit off the back of the canvas, who knows? He's taking a bit of an impact on the back of on the canvas. So I think the rope helped now because the situation was in. I think he boxed very well, very fit, but thrown a lot of combinations. And like I said, if the two of them meet, they meet. If they don't, they don't. I think if they meet, it's gonna be great for the fans. But I don't think if I was managing about them, I would try to steer them clear as long as possible. What's good about them is both of them don't have a big ego. Both of them not saying I'm better than him, I'm better than him. I believe they both of them believe that they're better at each other, but they're not belittling each other. So there's no bad blood. So there's no people pushing to look for the fight. Because who's this talking about it? So I think they're getting away with that because of that both egos are in check.
It's difficult at the moment because it's kind of when the moment does arise for them to fight for world titles, you know, you're kind of there's not a lot to choose from. You're kind of waiting for Lomachenko to kind of either move back down or vacate.
Yeah.
Or, do you know what I mean? Like, because as a fighter, obviously, you position the ideally perfect scenario. No one's really talked about it at all, but I just thought at the time maybe it would kind of make sense. What do you think?
It doesn't really appeal for me. Eric's a featherweight, you know what I mean? I like to see him compete his natural weight. Jono was ahead of him, so why was Jono looking back? But I know Jono was getting annoyed about him. I actually like to see Jono and Nevin more than I like to see Jono and Eric. I like to see Jono and Nevin because I see them have a bit of back and forward. You know what I mean? I like to see that fight. Do I see it happening now? I don't see it happening.
What did you think of the dispute that they had together? Because I know you were talking on Al Rich's podcast about some of the stuff Jono said about him. What do you think?
Jono is two people. He can be a nice fella to you, and he'll give you a stick on social media. You know what I mean? That's the way Jono is. I think it backfired in his face. He was calling Nevin a bum. To me, Nevin is the best amateur to come out of Ireland, and I believe I was in the era of the best. I know I just missed Darren Sunderland, but you had Egan there, you had Paddy Barnes, you had Mick, you had Nevin, you had Darren O'Neill, you had Adam Nolan, Eric, myself, Phil Silver, John Joe Joyce, Davey Oliver Joyce. The list goes on and on and on. You know, I mean, Carl Frampton was there in a few trips. You know, like some of the best, and I believe Nevin was the best. Ryan Lindbergh as well. I believe Katie Taylor, of course. But I believe Nevin was the best, and to call someone a bum who's at that achievement. Listen, he hasn't achieved nowhere near what people thought he did. He could have even beaten Luke Campbell in the final. I think he just fucked up. He did. I've seen him fight Luke Campbell in the EUs, and he beat him handy as well. So I know he had that in his locker. I think he just overlooked Luke, or the occasion could have gotten him. I doubt the occasion could have gotten him because he's competed at such a high platform. But just to fight Luke in his home country, you know what I mean, for the Olympic gold medal. But to call him a bum is absolutely horrendous, and I think is that they're backfiring him. I think Jono, people like him and people don't like him. He has a bit of that about him. I've seen he getting a lot of stick for his loss, and I've seen his father turn around and saying about it's ridiculous him getting stick, so much Jono's getting stick, and Nevin is and Eric is getting praise, and Eric gets knocked out, and Jono loses on a close fight. You know what I mean? A really, really close fight where he could have flipped it with a coin. He could have gotten it.
I think that's more so, isn't it? Because a lot of people in the bookies and that weren't giving Eric a chance. Whereas Jono was expected to win.
But look, Jono has a big mouth and he talks a lot of shit, and when you don't back it up against a fella with a fucking not the best of records, you know what I mean, with 5 losses, not the best of records, where you only have to fight a former world champion, even though he's passed the thing to it. Eric fighting an undefeated fighter, him being undefeated and moving up in weight. I know Jono moved up in weight, but I think Selva Barrett, there's a lot of hype about him, you know what I mean? There's a lot of hype about him with Hughes. There was no hype about him, you know what I mean? If he lost that, he was just going away in the shadow. I don't think anyone would have thinking anything of it. Now he's at the winning, now he's at the up his stocks at the going up. So that's why he's at the getting a lot of stick, you know what I mean? And it comes with the territory. You want to have a big mouth, you have to back it up.
Yeah.
You know
it's
what I mean?
like what Jeff Mayweather always said when he was asked about Floyd. He said the thing is you can only ever be the villain until you lose.
Yeah, of course.
And then you have to change.
As long as you keep winning, man.
Yeah.
That's all that matters, you know what I mean? He didn't win, you know what I mean? So he has to back it up. I still believe John still has big stock and something will appear good for him, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Another thing, like Frank, so you fought Archie Sharp in your last fight.
Yeah.
And then obviously Self Apart was in that kind of stable along with Sam Bowen and all that. But he's been taken out of that. And then Frank put up posts where match him against BT fighters, and he put Archie against Selva Barra when he had the two in the same table. What do you think of that?
I think Selva beats him, so I don't think the fight will happen. For Archie,
but why do you think he didn't put them together and fight each other
well they were doing because of, I think he had two lads and they were going like, it's like MTK, they have Sean and Geraghty. There's no point of putting them together against each other. Ground them and
Archie had his belt and he was ranked very high.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like Archie could fight after the Frampton and Jeff Horn fight, you know what I mean? He could fight the winner of that, you know what I mean? He's that close of touching a world title. I think his performance was very poor.
How do you feel about that? Like, look, it's a business. Fighters always have, promotions have very good relationships with certain belt organisations. So you have Frank Warren, who's very close with WBO. Daniel Dubois is like ranked number 2 WBO, whatever, and he could get a man to fight, but he hasn't necessarily fought people. Like, you look at the other people in the rankings, like people have fought for world titles and that, and he's had them. Archie's kind of the same. You fought him, and you were kind of saying to me how you felt like you never really got out of second gear against him. Like you were finding you were handling the fight quite well. And since then, you said you haven't been really impressed with him. How do you feel about that? He's already. It looks like he's going to get a shot at the world title. Like,
I hope he gets a world title. It's a business, and Frank is with Frank. It's hard as Irish boxers unless you have, like, we have MTK, but it's like anything else. You need to be winning the right fights. Like who else is there? Like there's other boxers out there who are doing well, but they're guided, but they're not like. There's not a certain avenue they're taking, you know what I mean? And obviously Frank's taking that avenue to the WBO with him, and I haven't been impressed with him, but that doesn't matter. He's getting the win. That's all that matters. He's picking up the win. I thought his last performance was very poor. I thought he won it, but I didn't think he won it by much. The fella was a poor fella. I think he had a fight. I think he had a fight before that. I didn't see it. I was told it was meant to be a very poor performance, and even the fight with me was a very poor performance. With me, like he literally caught me with, I think it was literally, in the whole fight I reckon 4 or 5 shots. The one shot I ended up going to sleep. So I wasn't impressed, but he fought Jordan McCrory. Before that, I actually thought he boxed very well against that fight, but he's had a run of bad fight, bad performance. He's saying about the weight, maybe it's time to move up, but like at the end of the day he's winning, and that's all that matters, and he's still winning. And I can say I don't think he'll win his next fight. That doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter who says it. It doesn't matter if Frank Warden says he doesn't think he's going to win his next fight. As long as he keeps winning, that's it. And he's putting himself in that position to get a world title shot. And he's calling for that. And like I said, I just think it's a bit easier if you're English and with a decent promoter. Like you have Frank Warden or Eddie or him behind you. You're guided really in a good direction. You know what I mean? I think if we had someone like that, I know MTK are starting up and they're really, really doing well. And I think in the next few years, if they're back in the south, we might have that, you know what I mean? We might have that. Your home fighter, and you might be looked after that little bit easier. Like every fight I have, I'm the way for it now because I can't fight in the south, you know what I mean? So that's just the way it is, and just the way the cookie crumbles.
Darragh Foley.
Yeah.
And I actually got in contact with him and interviewed him at the very start of the lockdown, and we're kind of mentioning, he kind of spoke about how you contacted him, and he said, you know, we could fight each other, it'd be a big fight because we'd fight for the Irish title, and he says you were not unsure of telling what purse he was going to be getting.
If I got in contact with MTK, I might have been able to tell his purse. Listen, I try to do it in a respectful way and DM them privately before I said that. I said, look, because he's not really going anywhere since he lost the Ciaran fight. He was there's no hype. There was a bit of hype about him, and now it's at the dying off. It's the same as myself. There's a bit of hype and it's at the dying off. So I was like, one of us swim and one of us sink. That's the way I was looking at the fight. So I thought it was a good option. The Irish title's fake, and I would have liked to fight for that. I couldn't fight Ciaran. We're in the same gym. He's moved on. There's no one else there. I think Victor's moving down. there was literally no one else there that wasn't. So I was thinking, I know Sean was there. Sean's moving down to 135. I was thinking like, both are picking up a few little losses. So like I try to do it the respectful way and private DM and say, look, I don't know him personally. I've texted him after his fights and said, I'll look you in his fights he's after losing, because I know how hard it is at chin up. So I wasn't trying to be a prick about it. I was trying to go the nice way about it. It was just as simple. Listen, I want to fight. I was told, you're the man who's around to fight for it. Why not we get it on? It didn't have to be no bad blood. He didn't really bite at it. He wasn't. He was like, get a fight beforehand, whatever else. I was happy. I'm still happy to go in straight away from 130 from super featherweight up to light welter and fighting. I'm happy to do that. Would you
think it'd be a way would sanction it if 2 years of coming off loss? I know he's fought since then. Like,
yeah.
But like,
why would he not sanction it? I've fought. Look, the titles I'm at the fighting for. I'm still a big high profile athlete, especially in Ireland. Of a big amateur pedigree. Yeah, I think they would sanction it. No problem. I couldn't see it being a big barrier to cross. I know the barrier now would be that I don't think he can leave Australia at all with this COVID.
Only one state I think you can fight.
Yeah, so it won't happen anytime soon. I would like to fight one. It's not because of calling him out or this, that, and the other. Just listen, he's around the same way. Especially he's Dublin, like he's from Dublin. Why not do it? You know what I mean? It makes sense. I wouldn't be afraid of fighting him. I'm sure he wouldn't be afraid of fighting me. So yeah, I'd be happy to have a bash him.
Yeah, and I suppose at this stage in your career, you've always said you want to win the Irish title. You fought for it against James Tenzin, but it'd be always like, I don't think Irish fighters appreciate the prestige behind it. Like, you know, the names that have won it and gone on things. So Andy Lee, Steve Collins Jr., Matthew Macklin, Tyson Fury. You know, they're names that you'll always be held up with, like, you know, for the rest of your life, you know. Another thing I was going to say is, so Caitlin Field, I know you haven't seen too much of her.
She's been up a sparring in the
gym. Has she? Yeah,
a girl called Maria from
Maria Malenica.
Yeah, from
who I interviewed.
Croatia. Yeah, she only fought a few days ago. She won for great stuff. But Maria, she's been up sparring. I haven't been watching the sparring too much. Well, that was the first time I ever seen Caitlin fighting, and she's tough. She just keeps coming forward. She's tough as fucking nails.
And she's young, very young.
Yeah. So,
but
I know her cousins and her brother, like Adam Phelan and Chris Phelan.
Yeah, that's and our trainer.
Yeah.
Mr. Barra. Yeah. But she, so basically, from my understanding of the conversation of how it landed is, so she's supposed to be fighting actually this weekend in Germany against this girl who's actually very similar in age, and it's like a youth WBC title, a WIBA, so Women's International Boxing World Title, a version of a world title, and another belt as well. But it'd be a great stepping stone for both of them. Both of them are kind of the same age, and now Caitlin would be going over as the opponent, obviously, but. Because of the COVID, they cancelled the show, and they said they'd postponed it. Not cancelled, postponed it to another time. But it'd be great because Caitlin's only had I think 2-3 fights.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting, a bit like Glenn Harvey going over, but I think it's much more winnable fight for Caitlin, and then come back with belts, and then you could really build on that, you know.
Yeah, I was talking to our coach, and he thinks it's a very winnable fight, and she doesn't have Boxing Ireland are not a big promotional team, so this is the kind of things, like, this girl's kind of picked her to get the belt. She has a bit the money, the backing, so it kind of like she's at the picking her. She's gone over the B-side fighter. It's a very winnable fight, what I've been told. So this is the kind of opportunity she needs, you know what I mean? And I'd like to see her. It'd be great to see her pick up a world youth title, you know.
Yeah.
Then you had Katie Taylor, who fought, the Irish boxer. Katie Taylor fought.
Yeah, I don't know how we forgot that one.
Yeah. Since we're talking about women, Katie Taylor, a great performance. I watched the fight. I didn't score it round for round. There was a few mixed results. I believe she won what I've seen of her, you know what I mean? I just didn't think she boxed the way she can box. She gets into a bit of a dogfight. I think when the rounds go on, that's a problem. But I think, like, where else is that a go for Katie, man? She has done everything else. My worry about Katie is that you're up at that pinnacle top. There ain't no one better and no one higher than that. There's only down from there. I'd like to see her.
Or staying there.
Yeah, like you can only stay there for so long, and you know what I mean. So I'd like to see her get out there out soon enough.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Because like I've watched the documentary a couple of times. I watched it again yesterday, like her movie that's on Netflix, and it was funny when she lost. People were saying that she was over the hill after she lost in 2016.
Yeah.
Like,
and how it's at the turnaround.
Even Eric and other people that were commentating. Well, Eric didn't necessarily say that. He kind of said like, "Oh, maybe something's changed there mentally," you know.
But that's the same thing back then. I think something did change and a few things went wrong for her.
Yeah.
But she was at the pinnacle as an amateur, Olympic champion, 5 times world champion, European champion. There's only down from there. The same as proud. That's why I would like to see her get out soon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a difficult situation because, like for instance, the heavyweight boxing that I used to work for, that I used to write for, even them, they'd be saying, why isn't Katie fighting this person? You know, people that in America, it's the same thing. Like once Katie's there, she's the only one that really brings money to the table. Apart from her and Clarissa, she's the only one who brings any, and so everyone's calling her out at the same time.
Of course.
And then if she takes one person, it's like, you're ducking her, you're ducking her. Like Katie would fight all of them in the one night, I suppose, if she could, but
it has to be a business point of view, and I just think I like that girl who won the world title at
Jessica McCaskill.
Yeah,
she beat her in. I think it was lightweight. She beat her at for it was a WBA. I think it was the interim title. I could be wrong there, but she beat her, and then she went up to 147 and beat Celia Spracos in a really, really tight fight. Like it was one of those ones. You just don't know who won it. Like it was at times it got sloppy in the fight. And I don't know if Celia Brackhouse, after all the years that she's been undisputed and whatnot, that she's not going to get an immediate rematch.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's what I'd say. Now, Katie, I don't think in other circumstances, would have ever fought at 147 ever.
No.
Because she would fight at 140, but she'd weigh in at 137. You know what I mean? But she can beat Jessica McCaskill.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So you just wonder, will she do that? And whether it'd be a good idea or not. What do you think?
I wouldn't like to see her step up. I'd like to see her stay where she is. Maybe 1 or 2 more fights and pack it in. 1 or 2 big profile fights and pack it in. I don't think she needs to have a trilogy with I can't even pronounce the woman's name who she fought.
Jessica McCaskill.
No, the one 2 weeks ago.
Delphine Persoon.
Yeah.
Delphine Persoon, I only put it up on the page the other day. She
had a start saying she thought she won after.
Yeah, she watched it, but she said I didn't actually lose the fight.
So, but you could tell after when she got out of the ring, she wasn't aggressive about it. She was satisfied. So that says an awful lot about her fighter. 1 or 2 more fights packed in, I'd like to see her sail away. Unified world champion, and leave it at that. Yeah. But listen, she's a big girl. She makes her own decision. I'm sure she's had to making so much money. Yeah. She'll be the pinnacle of any Irish athlete ever to come out of this. I think she's the pinnacle. She's a role model. She's someone you would strive any boxer to start, and not only how humble she is, how kind she is, how generous she is. There's so much about her, you know what I mean?
The morals that she has, and that's very, in this day and age, that is so hard to maintain as a role model, because when you mention the word role model, you think of perfection.
Yeah.
So what you say, everything you do is analysed, and she's the only person that's ever whatever she said.
Yes, you know, all the time.
And you know that's very, very hard thing to do. But then Eddie Hearn kind of said that he kind of mentioned, look, this is how many fights we should probably do. He kind of talked about her being at the tail end of her career, and she kind of looked at him and was not going to punch him because she thinks that she's going to go on to 40. You know?
But listen, only she can decide that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The last two was on the BT Sports car was Michael Conlon and Carl Frampton to talk about. I thought that's the best I've seen Mick fight as a pro. I thought he looked very well. I think he had to change with the low blows. I think he did a few low blows before he got caution, so he was very lucky. But he had to adapt his style and change. I thought he was very good. I thought he looked very impressive. Super bantamweight, he's a big super bantamweight. He'd be strong. I'm looking forward to seeing. I reckon he has 2 more fights on a world title. Could even be just 1 more fight on a world title.
You think him and Davey a fight in your opinion?
I said that to you a while ago. I think it could be a good show. An MTK All Ireland first professional title. I think it could happen. Davy's in great position. Davy is fighting the fellow who got announced who beat TJ Doherty recently. So if Davy beats him, Mick wins, and they could get a faking belt that could work out very nicely.
The WBO rankings have been readjusted as well. So Davy's 11th in the WBO, and Michael Conlon is 2nd.
Yeah.
So if Davy wins that, then you're talking 5th.
Yeah.
And then it looks kind of perfect.
It could happen, yeah, it could happen. Or
But I
Davy could
think
fight TJ if
yeah.
he beats this fella, you would never know. And the winner could fight Mick.
Yeah.
It could go that way.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see it. It would be nice to see it. I think Mick,
think
like I
Mick,
said, he looked very, very impressive. I thought it was the best I've seen him. He looked very sharp. Body shots were brilliant. Mick's a very good boxer. He just hasn't brought it into the pros so much, and now I think now it's starting to show. I think the better the opponents will be, the better you'll see Michael.
Mm-hmm. And Carl Frampton, what do you think of that fight?
I thought Carl was very well. Listen, people are comparing against Tennyson. Tennyson got the fella out very early. Carl is only a small fella that they're moving up a few weights now. Never mind for that fight, a few weights as it is. I thought Carl, he could have overlooked it. It was a last minute swap, changed a whole lot. Things could have been a banana skin. He did what he had to do. He got him out there. I'd like to see him and Jeff Horn. Is Jeff Horn his second name?
Well, Jeff Horn lost to Tim Tszyu.
Not Jeff Horn, sorry. What is the geezer?
Oh, sorry, Jamal Herring.
Jamal Herring,
that's
what I mixed up with Jamal.
It's sad because I like the way that they're still keeping the fight relevant. Everyone's talking about it still, and Jamal Herring still seems to be interested.
I just think it's the easiest gap for a world title for Carl. It'd be Carl. Will it be his third world title? Yeah, a 3-weight. If he wins one more, it'd be a 3-weight world title. I think it was bantam, super bantam, and it'd be fed on him.
Yeah.
I think Carl will go down as probably
third weight.
Yeah, I think
his third weight and his 4th world title.
Yeah, I think if he wins that, I think Carl will go down as the greatest male professional boxer or this Ireland has ever seen. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I think Carl's on his tail end of his career as well. I'm sure he knows that himself. But I'm sure it'd be like to cap it off with that winning that world title and sail away.
I think the good thing about Carl is like he's not stupid. Like he knows he's at the end. He knows exactly the plan that he wants.
He needs to settle.
And he's changed the way he changed his training in the last couple of years, and he's very smart business wise. Like whereas I think when you look, it's sad when you see someone like Scott Quigg who was fighting John O'Carroll. Carl was working on the fight. I'd say that resonated with him when he was watching and thinking, "This is my generation, and I don't want to."
Be like that, of course,
you know?
yeah.
So I'd say he'll look for the world title and then have one big fight, and then that'll be it, really, you know. But so it's funny because there was a lockdown, there's a virus, but plenty to talk about, you know.
This year still more shows to happen. So hopefully
you'll get out now before the end of the year.
Hopefully something out at the end of the year. I'm going to 140. That's the plan to compete at that. I'll put my hat in the most people I'm willing to fight at 140. The risk has to be worth the reward. I'm going up in weight. It's no point of fighting somebody with a non-defeated record with no belt on the line or no good money, you know what I mean, or no potential of moving up high in the rankings. What's the point of doing it, you know what I mean? Like I said, I still have a big profile name. I would like to fight that fella who fought last night, Brown. No, he's not going to look at me now, but I remember I said it before he fought for that British incumbent. I'd fight him. He's awkward. I'd like to fight him.
You were saying that. Well, actually, you were saying that 3 years ago when he fought. 2 years ago when he fought Dara. You said you would have fought both of them. Yeah. But that's when you were super featherweight.
Yeah, it still would have been, and I just had to sit down and look at options. You know what I mean? Like I said, Darren Fowley's the only one I can see in Ireland around. Then England, you have to look at who could be an option in England, you know. Like I love to fight O'Hara Davis after Ciaran beats him. Love to fight O'Hara Davis after Ciaran beats him, you know what I mean. I think it could Ciaran beats him and just give it as a comeback fight, you know what I mean. There's a fella he's only have to moving up, take it as a comeback fight. I'll take that in a heartbeat.
But yeah, I think that's really it. Like, but so anything else you want to say?
No, subscribe, like, share.
Yeah.
Do everything what you gotta do.
Yeah.
Thanks for everyone for the viewers.
Look, this page now, the channel is really kind of just to build Irish boxing now at this stage, and that's what we want to do. Obviously, at this time. So any Irish boxers at all that are watching this and are trying to build themselves, trying to put up videos, stories, anything like that, to tag us in any of them, and we'll share any of it to help build this at all. If we can help in any
Ciaran
way,
will share it.
I'll share, like, if we can
ball,
help
he's
you
on the ball.
if we can help you in any way. Tickets, obviously that's not going to be something that's going to be an issue right now, like, but when it does, any way we can help, share us in it, add our name in it, we'll reshare it at all. So yeah, that's really it. Thanks very much, and I'll be getting back on the road very soon, interviewing boxers over the next week or so. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and hope you have a good week.
Thank you.